Welcome to Timeout for 3D Training. I'm Tim Morton, and this is Session 5, Finding Joy in the Journey. The source for our content for this session is from the 3D Coach book by Jeff Duke, Chapter 11, Joy. When it comes to emotions, competitive athletics can be very complicated. The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, and everything in between is often felt across the nation and around the world. For the athlete, emotion is a response to performance. There is this constant flow of emotions that come out of athletes. Some emotions enhance performance, while others hinder performance. All emotions fit into two basic categories: pleasant or positive, or unpleasant or negative. There are certain pleasant emotions that always help performance. These include excitement, joy, and exhilaration. When these emotions manifest within your athletes and your team, the byproduct will be athletes that are motivated from within, athletes that will look beyond the moment and see the big picture, and athletes with increased confidence. On the other hand, there are certain pleasant emotions that are actually harmful and hinder performance. These include satisfaction and complacency. When these emotions manifest within your athletes and your team, the byproduct will be athletes that are unmotivated and athletes that will lose interest and focus. So here's the problem. By its very nature, first dimension coaching removes the pleasant, helpful emotions from sports and opens the door for the pleasant, harmful emotions. First dimension coaches have accepted that joy really doesn't have a place in sports. And when athletes suppress joy, they aren't free who they were created to be. This culture of work has done two very damaging things. It's robbed sports of its joy, and it's taken the fun out of sport and replaced it with complacency. So here's the solution. Teams that succeed are the ones that don't outwork their opponents, but rather outplay them. Sports weren't meant to be just work. Sports were meant to also be play. Coaches need to try to do two things. Identify the joy robbers on your team. This may be the hardest thing to do in the second dimension. Also, do away with the outwork mentality. Turning work into play will revolutionize your practices and produce more sustainable results on the field of play. I wanted to share a personal story of one strategy I used to bring the joy out of my players. At the beginning of the year, we would have a morning conditioning program that would run 1 week prior for the season. This was primarily done to get into shape, and I did this for many years. We would begin at 6 a.m. before school, and it was very demanding. I must admit, fun was not my goal when it came to this program. I wanted to send the message that we were going to be in shape and work harder than any team that we faced. After reading the 3D book, I decided to bring in the game of tag. Yes, tag. Here's how I set it up. I would designate one player to be it. He would have 1 minute to tag as many players as he could. The other players had to stay within a certain boundary designated by me. Once they were tagged, they had to perform a strength move for the remaining time. During the time of the game, I would blast some Christian rap. For those that tagged the most players, I rewarded them with a Gatorade. We would do this for about 15 to 20 minutes. Here were the positive results of tag. The players were working extremely hard to tag others or to not be tagged. They were using all the muscles that needed to be strengthened, and they were pushing themselves to fatigue. The players were showing joy through the looks on their faces and how they were responding to each other. This was quite the opposite from other conditioning exercises that I had tried. They requested to play tag every day after that as a part of their morning conditioning, and they were motivated because they were being joyful.